appreciate that tutorial. What if we have crayons instead of pens? Again, so appreciate everybody getting the shout out on how important it is to vote. Distinguished guests, Kiwanians, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kiwanis Club of Kingsport's 2024 Mayoral Candidate Forum. I'm Mayoral Davis, past president of the club, and it's my pleasure to serve as the moderator for you today. Kiwanis is a global organization dedicated to improving the world, one child and one community at a time. And as was stated, this year the Kiwanis Club of Kingsport is celebrating its 100-year anniversary of service to Kingsport and its children, while fulfilling our motto of serving the children of the world. The guidelines for today's forum are as follows. Each candidate will have 1 minute to present an opening statement, 1 minute to respond to each of the forum questions, and 1 minute for a closing statement. Our timekeeper, Admiral John McKinley, will provide each candidate, as noted, with a 15-second alert. So Admiral has demonstrated that as well. We are delighted that all 4 of the mayoral candidates are with us today. Sara Buchanan, Collette George, Paul Montgomery, and Tim Sanders. And candidates, in providing your comments, we ask that you speak directly into the traveling microphone in order that everyone can hear your responses. We will begin with the candidates' opening statements, starting with Sara Buchanan, then Collette George, Paul Montgomery, and then Tim Sanders.
Good question. After the opening statements, the questions, do you just want me to start answering the first and go back that way?
Exactly.
So it'll go down,
Good question.
back, and then I'll be, after Sarah starts it, I'll be the one after that.
Absolutely.
And
That way you get that order that doesn't have the same people failing to rotate. So I think that will make it a little bit faster. We have quite a few questions, and we want to make sure that we use the time.
Do you want us to stand up or stay seated?
However you would prefer. Most candidates stay seated, but thank you very much for the questions as well.
Stay seated, we can stay seated.
Stay seated.
Yeah, that's okay.
Y'all are okay? Some people want us to stand up. I don't care.
Oh, so Collette, you are standing up.
Yeah, I know. I'm the short one.
And so we're each going to answer every question, or there are going to be some questions directed. Okay, understand.
And each
Yeah,
person
yeah.
will be answering the same questions initially.
Okay.
So we start with the candidates' opening statements. And again, Sara, we start with you.
Okay, let's stand up. Okay. All right, well, thank you. Hi, everybody. Good morning. My name is Sara Buchanan, and I'm running for mayor. And a lot of you don't know me. Although I was born and raised here in Kingsport, I've spent a lot of my time out of the country as a foreign service officer with the Department of State. I was born and raised here in Kingsport. I graduated from Dobbins-Bennett, and I've spent a lot of time here in the community understanding what the particular needs are. The main 3 areas for my mayoral campaign are homelessness, economic development, which includes affordable housing, and crime, especially juvenile crime. Those are the areas that I would like to address most as mayor. But what you should feel assured about is that I have the experience, the leadership, and the integrity to bring Kingsport forward and to make progress in the next 2 years. So please look at my website, saraformayor.org, find out more about me and my stand on different issues and my policies. And thank you for being here today, and thank you for your vote.
Good morning or good afternoon. I'm Collette George. Thank you guys so much for hosting us at this. I think you are our last forum, and I'm very pleased about that. I've been here at a lot of different times. I think I've spoken, I don't know how many times, it's probably my 4th election. So hopefully you all remember me from before. I've served as an alderman since 2013, and I did serve for 4 years as a county commissioner. I'm the broker owner of Blue Ridge Properties, and I'm running because I truly believe in Kingsport. I want this to be the best community it can be. We've had a lot of different things going on, and I feel we need somebody that will fight to put Kingsport first. We need to look at what we're doing, the path we're going on, and how we can be the best city we can be. Thank you guys very much for having us here. In 1 minute, we're all going to have to talk fast.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here today. Thank you, Kiwanis Club, for inviting us here today. And congratulations on 100 years of service here in Kingsport. I am Paul Montgomery. I'm a candidate for mayor of the city, this great city. And this is a special place for me, this ground here. I started my career here in Kingsport Press, and Kingsport Press gave me the foundation to be the person that I am today. I learned a lot from this place here, and it seems like all our forums have been in this area, so I'm very pleased that I can do that. My beginning started in a small community in Glade Spring, Virginia. It's where I got my conservative views and learned to do things in the community. Service above self was what we learned there. And I want to talk more about that today and asking you for your vote. Thank you.
Thank you for allowing me back. 25 years ago, I was a member of this club, and I still see quite a few familiar faces, and it's good to feel like I'm back home to some degree. In that time, I have been involved within as an activist within our local politics, but I have not been elected, so I'm not a career politician. My whole campaign, even though there's lots of details, is situated around three main issues: the ballot healthcare monopoly, the condition of the city streets, and the homeless that's living on these city streets. Back when I was here, Kingsport was the industrial might of the Tri-Cities. Johnson City and Bristol looked toward us for leadership. I want to put us back in that leadership position. That's why I'm here asking for your vote, and it's good to see you all again. Tim Sanders for mayor. Am I doing the first question?
Yes.
Thank you, candidates. We will now begin our questioning, beginning with Collette George, followed by Paul Montgomery, Tim Sanders, and Sara Buchanan. What is your understanding of the role of the mayor in the council manager form of government? And do you have any problems with that role? And do you see yourself doing anything differently?
Thank you. I've worked in this role as an alderman for the last 11 years. I like our style of government. I feel it's the most transparent. The role of the mayor is a lot of the face of Kingsport. The mayor does work with the city manager on the agenda. The mayor does push when we do strategic planning. The mayor also appoints people on the different commissions to all the different things that we serve on and what our community serves on. The mayor sits on a lot of meetings and a lot of committees in the whole region for economic development. So the mayor stands up for Kingsport in other areas to represent our best interest. And I feel I'm the best candidate to do that. The mayor and the city manager work very close together. And I think a lot of it is when all the board, especially the mayor, is out there, he's the focal point and the touch point for the citizens of Kingsport. Thank you.
As you well know, we have a weak mayor form of government, like weak mayor, city manager form of government. The mayor is like the chairman of our board. The mayor is the one who convenes us. He's the one that we look to as leadership. He's also the face of our community outside of Kingsport, face in the community in Kingsport. He is the one that you go to, and when you have issues that you want to solve, the first one they call is the mayor. Now, he has equal access to all of us as aldermen. He only has one vote on the board. It's like each one of us have one vote. The mayor brings recommendations to us, committee members. If you want someone serving on a commission or a committee, the mayor is the one that makes that determination. He brings it to the board for approval. So that's a very pivotal role on our board, and I'm definitely qualified to serve in that role.
Kingsport's weak mayoral form of government does mean that we have a paid city manager. The city manager takes care of all the day-to-day operations. Any of the city employees have concerns, they come to him, and if those concerns are warranted that he cannot resolve, then he comes and brings them before the board. The mayor also runs the board, not in that he oversees, he just runs the meeting. And the mayor also has the responsibility for signing the ordinances that are passed that have to be passed by the whole board, but he's the one that has the authority to sign. And that authority and that title is an integral part of the plan I've put together to get rid us of the valid healthcare monopoly. And that is why I'm running for mayor, not for myself, but for every one of you, your loved ones, your family members, of this community. I want to make sure that Kingsport stays great, and I'm going to put it back to being great. Thank you very much.
I think everyone up here has pretty much articulated clearly what the role of the mayor is. Part of the question was, what would I do differently as mayor? As mayor, one of the things I found out during my campaign is that we do not have economic development objectives in Kingsport, nor do we have a strategic plan. As mayor, that will be the first thing that I will do. Each component of our city, whether we're looking at schools, whether we're looking at the different recreational activities that we have, I will make sure that we do a thorough assessment to understand where we are and develop an integrated strategic plan so that everybody in the city knows their role and responsibilities. Also, part of that will be an emergency action plan. I've been trained in emergency management and disaster response. I've actually responded to some disasters in the past. Kingsport desperately needs an emergency management plan, and I will be the mayor to bring it. Thank you.
You're first. See what Randy said the whole time.
The Kingsport city manager has recently encouraged the BMA to start a new strategic planning process in 2025. Do you support a community-involved strategic plan? And what are 3 major initiatives that you would like to see in this strategic plan?
Yes, I think the citizens of Kingsport need to be involved in some form of planning, whether they are part of the initial part or that we have a forum with them. But yes, the citizens need to be part of that plan and definitely get input into that. There are 3 things that we do well here. Education is one of them. I think the strategic plan involving our education process, improving education, needs to be part of that plan. Infrastructure continuation, keeping that ongoing, needs to be part of the plan as well. Also, we need to have a plan put together of how we're going to improve healthcare in our community. I think that that is one thing that we really need to focus on. And the last thing is we need to talk about drugs in our community. We have an epidemic of drugs. We need to address that issue, and that needs to be part of whatever we do as a city.
If you don't have a strategic plan 2 years, 5 years, 10 years out, then you're running what's called a reactive form of government. That means that you're just reacting to every hot potato that comes up. Having a plan makes you a proactive form of government where you set out the items and the initiatives out forward, and then you work to get there. Now, you do have to react to any little issues that come up, but you have to have a clear vision for where you're heading. And part of the change, of course, is to take care of the valid healthcare monopoly, the condition of city streets, and the homeless. We cannot continue to allow the control of our hospital system be run from liberal Johnson City. Having citizens wait hours in the emergency room is unacceptable. Having to push out your doctor's appointments months or weeks out is still unacceptable. And that's one of the things I want to work on, is make sure that we keep a strategic plan going. Thank you.
Y'all must think I'm psychic. Since I already talked about strategic planning. Well, I have done strategic planning for several organizations. I've done it with the federal government. What I will do is participatory budgeting, so that each citizen has a say in how the funds are being used in their community and in their area. I will also make sure that citizens have an opportunity to take part in forum, to provide feedback on every step of the strategic plan, that all of the data and tools that we are using are validated by the community, and that we have community representatives as part of each step of the strategic planning process. As mayor, I've already mentioned what I think my 3 top priorities are, but in addition to those, also considering education, preventing backsliding on our academics, focusing on infrastructure, and managing change. As mayor, one of the first things I will do for the strategic planning process, which should be a 5-year plan, is to develop a theory of change. Where do we want to be as Kingsport? And then have the community help define the steps to get there. Thank you.
Okay, we got that in.
I've served since 2013, and we've done several levels of strategic plans. We've done some that really involve the community. We have done some that have been more, at City Hall that went through all of the budgeting. What I think is really important and what has changed is communication and citizen participation. When we did a strategic meeting right before COVID hit, and the world changed. And I think a lot of what we talked about, a lot of those plans, as all of you all remembered, I mean, we all sat in office and it's like, what's the world going to be like? And so everything stopped. We had to rule in all of the funds. We had to cut back on everything. And then as the world built back, we had to start back over. But I think one thing that didn't happen again is community involvement. We've had a lot of meetings where we've invited everybody, and we can't get people to get there. So we're going to have to work at how do we communicate with you to reach people, to have them involved in everything.
I know, he's reaching for that.
Our next question, how would you achieve better cooperation with the county mayor and the county commission on major projects? And would you be willing to evaluate opportunities to achieve more cost-effective continuing services with the county, like paving, recycling, or the 911 center?
So I always have an open door, open communications, and actually this knowing your county commissioners and the county mayor is the first step into ensuring that there's always communication flowing both ways. Now, I don't support using Kingsport tax money to pave county roads, only the ones inside the city limits. I have no intentions of taxing us into or allowing you to be taxed into poverty just because somebody outside the city wants a service that they don't want to be in the city to pay for. The plan for ballot is a regional plan. It will require working closely with the county mayor, not only him, and hopefully we can all work together to resolve the big major issues, which is, of course, the healthcare monopoly. The homeless is not only a city issue, it's probably a county issue, although I've not had an opportunity to roam around Bluntville just to look. I'm more concerned with what's going on here in the city of Kingsport. Thank you much. Boy, he scares you to death, that little gal.
It's a loud bell.
Okay, the relationship between the Kingsport mayor and the county mayor, like all approaches, as mayor in my administration, I will be working on developing the relationships with the individuals. Throughout my career, I've worked with people who are very different from me, who have different positions. I've had to negotiate extremely sensitive items with foreign leaders and different members of parliament in different countries. So I understand what it's like to communicate and to have different equities that we're trying to promote in the city versus the county. I think that it's important that we keep these lines of communication open, that we share services as much as possible, but at the same time, we need to make sure that Kingsport is not giving too many services to the county that we are not recouping funds for. In particular, I'd like to point to the garbage pickup. I've talked to some private business owners who pick up garbage who said that Kingsport City is going out into the county and undercutting them. So we're actually hurting small businesses by the city's operational practices. As mayor, I will cut down on those and make sure that we benefit as many people in Kingsport as possible and in the county. Thank you.
I really didn't understand the relationship between the city and the county and how the two different boards function because I started the city. And so I was crazy enough to run to be a county commissioner, which, I think it was beneficial in that I really got to understand the other side. When you're with the city, you have paid professionals that provide you so much data that we get packets with, 500 pages twice a month. We have meetings. We are overloaded with information. When you go out to the county, because every position is elected, you don't get that data. You have one meeting a month. You get a packet 10 minutes before you go out there that's 15 pages. So by being able to serve out there and understand how it works, we've already made some changes in the city. We now, with economic development and projects, we have our economic development person meet with each county commissioner and provide the same type of information that we have on our level. This has really given them information and let them understand where we can partner together and where that works. Put that gavel.
That makes you nervous.
One of the things that we've done well, I think, over the last few years, our city mayor and county mayor worked well together. The treatment center in Rome Mountain is a good example of what we've been able to do. The commissioners and aldermen have had joint meetings, so that's something we already have established. But one of the things that I am most proud of is in my history in our Eastman and community relations, 20 years, I worked well with the city manager, city mayor, and the county mayor and the commissioner. So I have vast amount of experiences working with folks that are in the county as well as in the city. So that's a plus for me and someplace that I feel very comfortable in working. Collaboration is highly important. And where we collaborate, we do well. And that's what we need to do better in the future. Thank you.
I answered that one right. Sarah, you were first. Okay, is that right?
What is your position on partisan elections for BMA positions? While talking with your use with state legislators, would you use your position to support that? And would you encourage the legislators to reverse their decision on partisan elections for school board members?
Thank you. I personally do not support partisan elections here for local elections because I think that necessarily restricts people from being able to run. I know that as a federal government employee, I could not run for partisan office. So that would restrict a lot of people from being able to run. One thing I do support, in addition to retaining a nonpartisan status of the elections, is also having districts. I feel like our BMA needs to have districts to represent different people within the city, because right now, unfortunately, our BMA represents some neighborhoods and not others, and I really think the representation is important and that we need to hear the voices of all the people. So in going back to the question of whether or not we need partisan elections, I do not support it. I think that we should keep our elections in November with the general election. I think that as many people who participate in the elections as possible is our goal. So that's my opinion. Thank you.
I also oppose having a partisan election at the city level. The reason for that is we represent everybody. We do not do a single vote that makes a difference on party line. And when we're representing you on which streets gets paved, it's based on worse conditions. We don't vote on anything that makes a difference which party you belong to. And I feel that when we serve at large, we represent everyone. And I truly believe that every voice should be heard. And when you meet with everybody, you come up with the best solutions. The city operates like a business. I understand county government. I understand why they went the directions they did. But as a city, we need to do the right thing for our citizens, and it should not depend on what party you're affiliated with. So I would, and on the school board, I don't think we have any say at the state level on them changing that back. I know there's some discussion both ways, but I think we all always need to work with our state reps.
No, I do not believe we should have partisan elections for BMA. As already been stated, we have a very good city here, and everybody that serves on the BMA has interest of the city entirety. I don't think there's a neighborhood that gets neglected. I know we consider everybody's opinion. So I think that is where we have the strength. Where we see in a national basis, the partisans, how divided we are. We are such a small area. Division does not work. We need to be collaborating. We need to be uniting together. The projects that we've done here in the city that we're united on, they were good projects. It was not a project because I live in Severe Terrace. I'm working about Severe Terrace. I'm working about the projects for the entire city. So that's where I stand on that. And in regards to the school board, I wish the state did not have partisan elections for school board members because you do not want to hire teachers and principals based on politics.
No, I do not support partisan elections locally. All you have to do is look at what's going on federally, and you can see what kind of mess that provides. I do let you know that it's hard to tell who I'm supporting. I mean, I just got no idea if anybody's figured that out. But that's my own personal viewpoint. And I do have to begrudgingly say there's a couple of things the current administration has passed that I might agree with. I mean, not admit up to it, but I do agree with. So you got to have the viewpoints of everybody, not just one group. You get every viewpoint, and in local elections, it's even more important to get varying viewpoints. And like I said, all you got to look at is what kind of mess we got going federally, and a little bit on the state side. I mean, you look at each state, but you're still looking at federal. And then locally, it's easy to say no to partisan, not in the BMA, not in the school board, preferably not in the county, but they made their own choice. Thank you. You are giving us a minute. You ain't quacking that thing in 45 seconds.
With Eastman being a leader in plastics recycling and Domtar being a major player in cardboard recycling, what could the city do to encourage and facilitate Kingsport as a major center for the circular economy in the South?
We're very fortunate that we have two companies that are putting recycling first. And we are looking at, I think we've already approved several recycling centers so that we will have more drop-off points that everybody can go to. We are looking at some other options on that. I don't think we'll get back to curbside recycling pickup because what we had found was basically we were paying almost, it was over $900,000 a year to have curbside pickup, sending it down, and they were putting it in the Knoxville landfill. So I think it wanted to make us all feel good, but it really didn't. And I think a lot of it, when we work with Domtar and Eastman, and we look at exactly what they need, we're gonna have to find ways that we can communicate with the citizens on exactly what they're looking for to work with them. And we also have to work on the state level about seeing what we can do here to have more recycling centers at different levels.
I applaud both Domtar and Eastman for their work efforts that they've done. That's significant for our community. It also puts us, our community on the map in recycling. And I'm gonna also applaud our city for the recycling efforts we do as well in support of Eastman and Food City and others that are doing that type of thing. I agree that the curbside recycling was more costly for us, and that's something that's probably not be able to return to because of the cost of the program. I mean, we're spending more money for recycling, picking up than we were getting. So I don't think our citizens would want to have more charges to going their way for that.
So I got a little different viewpoint on that. I applaud Eastman for what they've done. They've partnered up with Food City to put out convenience stations where you can drop off your plastics and your recyclables, and they can come and pick them up. And Domtar is taking recyclable cardboard now. But the thing that the city needs to do is ensure that their business interests don't cause a heartache to the citizens. And it's easy to tell when you come down here and go walk at the Riverfront Park, or you might happen to live in a certain neighborhood across the river. At nighttime, there's a whole lot of stink coming that way. And that's where the city comes in, is to ensure that their business priorities don't override, number one, citizens' health. And then part of this recycling is also the Green New Deal with the current administration, money for it. The next administration may not. But I can tell you, when I was running my business, I took cardboard to the recycler down on Industry. He told me China was just dumping it in the ocean. That's why he's no longer there. Thank you.
My response on this question is not going to be a departure really from what the other my colleagues have said up here. Recycling, as anything else in my administration as mayor, it needs a cost-benefit analysis, and that cost-benefit analysis, like Tim said, is going to consider health and well-being of citizens, also economically. Although we are doing recycling here in the city, how much of that recycling is actually our recycling? I'm seeing these big trucks hauling cardboard into Kingsport, and where are those coming from? And why are we experiencing the smell that's been mentioned and these other impacts from the recycling process that Domtar is doing? So as mayor, although recycling makes us feel good, as Collette mentioned, sometimes it doesn't achieve what we want it to achieve. So as mayor, I will look at it as everything else, do a deep dive analysis and find out where the cardboard is going, where the recycled items are going, and the demand for our citizens for such services. Thank you.
What is your understanding of using debt financing for capital projects in local government? And do you feel our city is in a good position to use debt strategically for future projects?
Yes, the answer is, I think our city has done well. One of the advantages we've had of great leadership over time, Ken Marsh is here, who's definitely the godfather of balanced budgets. And that has helped us maintain that philosophy over time. We have a good debt ratio, and I think that has served us well. In fact, we're able to do some projects because of the financial structure that we have established. We've got a good financial rating. Those things that our predecessor, and that's one of the advantages of being a newbie on the board. I get to take benefit from those who've served me before, but we have done well, and we'll continue to do well, I'm sure.
So government debt financing separates government from the private sector. One of the things I've already mentioned is that no, I will not support or allow us to be taxed into poverty. I did have a chance, and working together with the county, I did go up there when they was wanting to build a new jail. I don't advocate treating anybody like animals, but you cannot continue to raise taxes to try to cure the drug problem. You will actually put Sullivan County, which Kingsport sits into poverty, trying to keep building jails, bigger jails, and the sheriff should come and ask for bigger jails. That's his job. My job as a taxman is to be sure to understand that I had a client come from California with an IOU for his refund that says the state of California, if it ever gets out of debt, will send you your money. That background knowledge that I have in the tax and financial world will ensure that, yes, you do have to have debt to build things, but we're not going to get it into a point that I'm going to tax you into poverty.
As mayor, I would support debt financing for projects, but again, it has to be within a calculus of understanding how that balances against our budgets. In my experience, when I worked for the U.S. Agency for International Development, I worked in the budget office, the main budget office for that agency for over a year, where I managed budgets for Venezuela, also Israel, and Egypt. And I have a deep understanding of what it means to administer budgets and debt financing and what it means for our city. One of the things that I particularly have a problem with is that the city recently has found out that we are $5 million in the red, whereas a couple of years ago, we were more than $3 million in the black. As mayor, I will make judicious decisions about funding for different projects to make sure that we have an appropriate funding, budgets, and that the money is going where it should be going to achieve the goals that we have as a city.
Our budget is balanced and we are not in the hole. Capital projects, it's like when you go to buy a house, it would be wonderful if we all had money to pay cash for a house. When you look at what we do with debt, you have to look at the age of the project. When you're redoing the DV Dome, that's a 50-year project. So you bond money for less than the lifetime of that project. We have not bonded money to build roads. We've used cash for paving. You have to look at each project and the lifetime of it and what the debt rate is. We are given so much information, and I'm not going to say anything about Ken Marsh giving him a big head, but we get so much data on which projects are rolling off so that we can already line up our next projects, looking at when one school rolls off, so we'll know what we have available with our debt management, so we can keep everything going and fund the projects that we need to fund. You know, you can't operate a city on a cash basis. Thank you.
What makes you uniquely qualified to serve as the mayor of Kingsport at this time in our city's history?
Interesting question. I've already told you about the fact that I've been involved as a citizen activist. My 23 years of financial and tax work, I have actually had to fight with the government. And one of the things that makes me unique is that I am not and never have been a government employee. So I'm the one that fights for you against them. Now, when you bring a IRS tax letter to me, I have to make sense out of what government employee regulations has been put in or career politicians has passed. And then I have to explain to you what that regulation has caused you to why you are having to pay thousands of dollars, but most of the time I win the fight and you don't end up paying. So my qualification is I know how to bob and weave within the government regulations.
I'm uniquely qualified to be mayor because of my experience, my leadership, and my integrity. I've already talked about my experience working for the federal government, which may be a detriment to some people, consider a detriment, but I have a depth of experience in financial management, public financial management, strategic planning, emergency response, and also service. I served as a Peace Corps volunteer for 2 years. I understand what it is to serve. And what's more, my administration will focus on integrity. Everything that the city does will be completely transparent. I am a grant writer right now. I write grants for a nonprofit health organization. I don't own any properties in Kingsport besides my house, and I don't have any economic interest to gain from being mayor. I'm doing this because I care. I'm actually doing this as a detriment to myself, but it's because I care about the city of Kingsport, and I think we need to do things differently. I'm the youngest person running, and I think we need innovation, and I'm qualified to bring that. Thank you.
I'm running to be mayor of Kingsport at this time because I truly believe in Kingsport. I know I say that a lot, but I really do. I've worked on a lot of the nonprofit boards. I've worked in all of y'all's neighborhoods. I've been here, I raised my kids here, I grew up here. But what is unique is I am a small business owner. You know, when COVID hit, I still had to make payrolls. I have to understand, no matter if it's a good market or a bad market, I've got to manage through that. I've been managing a company here for 32 years. I've worked in every neighborhood. You guys know me, and you know that I will stand up and fight. I will vote alone. I will speak out. I will put Kingsport first. One thing we really need to do, as I've said before, is build relationships, partnerships, and communication. And I feel I'm the best person to do that. I can work with people at all levels, and I can work with people locally, state, at our industries, and in every neighborhood. Thank you.
I started out by telling you that I started here in this building, on this ground. I have worked as a janitor, I've worked as shift work here on this place. I have worked in corporate America. I have been a vice president. So I understand different levels. I can communicate on all levels. I have served in the Rotary Club. I've served in the Rotary Club now 28 years. I have served in the Optimist Club as well. Served as president of the Kingsport School Board. So I have experiences in service and also in leadership. But I tell you one thing, I do not have all the answers to all the problems, but I know how to communicate. I know how to bring people together, to collaborate, to get answers. Because the more people you have around the table who are smarter than you, the better answers you're going to get. And I'm not afraid to bring more intelligent people into the circle. Thank you.
There has been a great deal of talk about affordable housing and homelessness. Yet over the past 24 months, Kingsport has led Northeast Tennessee in total homes sold, both in volume and per capita, across several price ranges. Those that were under $200,000, $200,000 to $299,000, and $300,000 to $399,000. Additionally, Kingsport issued 1,700 plus Section 8 vouchers, significantly more than Johnson City's 679 and Bristol's 345. These data highlight Kingsport as the most affordable housing market in Northeast Tennessee, and among 17 markets from Cookeville to Spartanburg, South Carolina, and from Chattanooga to Roanoke, and all points in between. Given this data and extended information, what are your thoughts on Kingsport's future housing strategy? How important is it for the city to be socioeconomically balanced? And is Kingsport achieving that goal?
I'd like to start out by first saying that availability of housing aid vouchers does not mean about availability of housing. In 2016, when the Lee apartments were torn down, I talked to KHRA. They told me that there were vouchers available for the individuals who were living there, and they could go anywhere they wanted, which is against federal law. So that should not have happened. As far as affordable housing being available here in Kingsport, whether something's at a price point of $200,000 or $500,000, it's still not affordable for the people here. What I'm hearing from individuals, I went and talked to people at Brandy Mill Apartments the other day. They told me that the corporation that owns their apartment complex owns 8 other apartment complexes in the city. They are effectively raising rents and there's no relief. A lady told me that where am I supposed to go? If they raise my rent again, where am I supposed to go? As mayor, I will have a strategy for affordable housing. I encourage you all to go to my website, saraformayor.org, where you'll see my plans for homelessness, for economic development, juvenile crime, and affordable housing. I have plans, I have policies, and you can understand exactly where I stand on these issues.
As a realtor for 32 years, after COVID, our world did change. Everybody wanted to move here. Never has the market been like that. We sold everything we have, and because of COVID, the builders could not build back quick enough. We couldn't get supplies. They had to wait on people that had COVID. It was very slow. We're also a landlocked city. So we don't have huge areas to develop. We are working with a lot of developers on a lot of different projects. And yes, we have had the most young people move into Kingsport. We have had more sales. A lot of that is because we had a lot of our housing stock that was built in the 50s. And so we have a little bit of the smaller homes where Johnson City built a lot of different points. And we do have more subsidized housing than any other area in Northeast Tennessee. But, you know, it's when you look at who all is coming here, we do have more elementary school kids now because we have houses they can afford. And I know he's going to hit that, but I said I can talk to you about housing, call me anytime.
As mayor, one of the things I would do is make sure Collette is there to talk about housing because she is the expert. We do have the need for more affordable housing, I do believe. I know folks who are working at fast food places, they almost have to have two jobs in order to make ends meet. So that's a serious concern that I have as well. We do have a problem here in Kingsport. We have 33% of our people, of our children on free and reduced lunches. That says our poverty rate's higher than what we should be. Johnson City has 25%. So that says that we have more skewed people coming, getting those vouchers, even coming from the Johnson City area, coming to Kingsport. We really need to ensure that Kingsport residents have access to that we do not have people on the waiting list from outside our area.
If you can't afford to rent, you can't afford some of these affordable housing that was talked about, 200,000, 300,000. The problem with Kingsport, we do have plenty of houses. We don't have enough government supplied, government assisted houses. When you get Section 8, there's restrictions. You can't they just don't supply you everything. Over in my neighborhood, there's a little old lady that takes her rollator and goes right up Bloomingdale and dares you to hit her. She will never be out here working to even be able to pay anything. In a civilized society, you take care of them people. With the destruction of the Lee apartments and the destruction of the Riverview apartments, we don't have enough government supplied apartments here to take care of this and to get the homeless off the streets. It's not a handout, or it's not a hand up. It is a handout on some, but you got to get them off the streets before you can get them to help them. I think the Lee place would be a great city park with a walking, and we can trade the property over at the General Shell to that.
In the last 10 plus years, the state has spent hundreds of millions of dollars on the West Tennessee mega site, now referred to as the Blue Oval, and $500 million on the new Titans Stadium. To date, East Tennessee has not been successful in trying to achieve the big ask. If our state legislators want to know what sizable project should Kingsport and or the region ask for?
We were blessed to get 6.5 million for the dental clinic, and the dental clinic is huge, and we do have to work with our state legislators. A lot of times when they look at doing things for Kingsport, it entails giving tax breaks to Eastman or to Domtar or to one of the industries, which is great and benefits them, but it doesn't benefit the people right here. So we need to make sure that we do an ask that is actually something for the citizens. And I'm just going to talk because I know I have such little time. The dental school is huge. We're going to have the dental clinic, and this will bring in an education level here, but it also brings in affordable dental care. You know, they will take TennCare, and most people don't have dental insurance. 20-some% of the people that go into the ER is for oral care. So this will make such a difference with the healthcare in this whole community, and we need to have them fund the next level.
I agree that we in Northeast Tennessee needs to be at the table, getting our share of the funds from the state of Tennessee. Again, we did get the $6.5 million from the state, from the governor, for doing these budgets, so that we applaud our legislators for going to bat for us. We need to have more discussions like that. The airport could use some help getting a big project right into the airport. We need to identify as a community what's important to us. We need to stay focused on that and move forward. Again, the Lone Mountain facility that we have, the treatment center, that's going to be huge. And we need to think about how we can get more of our citizens through treatment, because we do have a drug problem here, and we need to address that.
30 years ago, I actually put my name on a ballot and got involved. And one of the comments that citizens have made to me, if we could ever work together up here, Nashville would take notice. 30 years later, apparently East Tennessee still stops at Knoxville. If we can work together, get rid of this failed ballot healthcare monopoly, replace it with a better healthcare system that the rest of the nation can use as a template, then Nashville will take notice, and we will be able to get some of our tax money coming back up here, even if it's to start with just paving the streets, replacing, like I said, the healthcare monopoly with something better, and any other state things that we would need. They will listen if they know that we're going to work together as a region. And the first thing to do is work regionally to get rid of the ballot. Thank you.
And candidates,
Wait.
excuse me.
Sarah's gotta get chicken turn. That's okay.
To answer this question, what should we be asking from Nashville? 2 words: productive infrastructure. A lot of the stuff that we have in town is not productive infrastructure, and it's something that we need to maintain economic stability over the long term. How do we have jobs that generate income and generational wealth for the individuals in our city? It's not something that I would advocate for a single project, but rather a constellation of projects that could build and assist not only our economy, but our society, our communities on different levels. And we really need to focus on how can we advocate for that. I know that Nashville doesn't really think about East Tennessee. In meeting with people in Nashville, they've told me that this region is not something that's really important to them. So we need a strong advocate, someone who understands the processes and understands the different equities at play. And I would be the person to do that. Thank you.
And thank you, candidates. I would just add that I have heard that state funding of a materials recycling facility, MRF, would maximize the region's potential to be a center of the circular economy. Our next question: do you support the regional economic development effort? Since most of the concern over the regional effort has been based on Johnson City or others controlling the effort, what would you do as Kingsport's mayor to assure that other leaders in this region execute the economic development effort fairly so that the entire region benefits and you can subsequently explain to Kingsport citizens and business that Kingsport will benefit?
I think that one of the things that we as a city, we need to be part of regionalism, and it's very important. We also need to be part of what makes sense for Kingsport. We need to be involved in regionalism, what makes sense. So we, as a result of what happened with ballot and the trauma center, we've got a little bit of a jaundiced view of regionalism, but we've got to be at the table. We have to be at the table. We cannot not participate, because it doesn't help us as a region. So we need to look at, see what makes sense for us as a region, and work on those things that make sense for us, that will help us, the citizens of Kingsport. I'm all on board.
Part of my campaign is make Kingsport great again. I will put Kingsport first, even in this regional networks association. I do not like kissing the liberal rear end of Johnson City, letting them tell us what we're going to do. But I'm not going to be an independent person. I know we have to work together, and as I've explained before, if we can work regionally to resolve the healthcare problem, then others are going to take notice. And if the start of the healthcare situation, resolving that issue starts here, then Johnson City and Bristol will also take notice, and hopefully I'll put us back into a position of leadership, or at least equality. I am tired of Kingsport being looked over now. It is time to make Kingsport great again. Thank you.
Regionalism is a complex issue, and the first salvo that kind of got us into regionalism was valid. And before we really work on regionalism, before we work on pulling together those different networks of individuals, we need to get our house in order here in Kingsport. As mayor, my campaign focuses on localization. Everything needs to be localized, and Kingsport needs to make sure that we have the services and the different products that our citizens need when they need it before we start looking outward and competing with Johnson City or Bristol. Kingsport used to be the leader, and to become the leader again, we really need a strong strategic plan, we need citizen input, and we need feedback from our communities to understand where we are going. In order to have a strong financial base, a strong educational base, and strong neighborhoods, we're going to have to build ourselves up again before we can focus on regionalism. So bottom line is, I'm not in support of regionalism. I'm in support of putting Kingsport first. Thank you.
I think I have a rap of being anti-regionalism, which I really am not. There are projects that we work great together regionally. The airport was one of those. Aerospace Park was one of those. There's things that we do as a community with Johnson City, with Bristol, with Sullivan County, with Washington County, that we all share resources, that we all share information, that we all work together very well. We always have. We used to, until really, I guess, we were going down to Nashville together as a region. So there are times when you need to work together. Workforce development needs to be something this entire region looks at. The drug rehab programs, that's regional. We need to have partners in communication. But as I said, Kingsport is my priority, and I will always fight for Kingsport. We need to be at the table. We need to be involved in the things that need to be done regionally. We need to be there to voice where Kingsport stands. Thank you.
This is 10 first. Did you start that one?
Most people understand that the key to successful learning for children is to achieve a third grade reading level on schedule. Knowing that most students who are demographically challenged do not have the support they need after school hours or in the summer. What do you think the city and the public can do to support the school's efforts?
What does demographically challenged mean?
It means in terms of economic and gender, all of the different demographics that decide a city's area, economic as well.
So the easiest thing the BMA can do is keep an open communication line with the Board of Education. That is what they are elected for. Their sole purpose is to focus exclusively on the Kingsport City schools. If they are having issues with that, then they need to get the affected people together and come up with a solution. And my viewpoint, the BMA is to not put any kind of regulations, any kind of ordinances that hinders that. You've got to keep it open. You've got to allow them to do their job. They don't get a free blank check. But then that is their position, is to be sure that they take care of the schools, take care of the students. And if they need help, then to get organizations together that are willing to come in after school, and this, as long as the city stays out of the way and allows that to happen. Thank you.
In talking about demographically challenged students, I think that there is one plan that I've heard that the city is moving towards, which is the consolidation, the closing and consolidation of 3 elementary schools into a mega elementary school. I've said this before and I'll say it again, schools are anchors of our community. I went to Westview and I currently live just a block down from where I went to school. And I can tell you that they are the root of our community. If we take those away, we're going to see crime increase like we have in Lynn Garden. My contention is that the problems we have in Lynn Garden is largely because Lynnview went away. We have to be sure that we service our students, that they get the kind of education that they need, academic support in terms of tutoring, more emphasis on academics and STEM, and having parity between extracurricular activities and academics. But the main thing to help these demographically challenged children, like I was myself growing up, is to be sure that they have community schools and we retain those community anchors.
Question about what can we do on the BMA to help this situation. And one thing that we must always take in consideration is, of course, working with the school who understands and knows these students, but also looking at the space we provide. You know, a lot of our current schools do not have additional rooms to do early learning or after-school care. So when we look to build facilities and consolidate, we need to make sure that our teachers are involved in this so they know and can work with us to have the space to be able to bring these children in the morning and keep them after school. This makes a lot of difference. We also need to continue to work with organizations like the YMCA that have a lot of feeding programs and have a lot of after-school programs and help people work on building daycares. We are very short of daycares in this area. And so we need to be sure that we're working with the right people to have facilities available to help the people that need help.
Having served on the school board many years ago, I have appreciation for what our school board does and how they take the challenges. COVID gave them a bad lick in trying to educate our children. We probably will take a few more years getting back to where we need to for its educational wise strength in our community. But we as a board of Mayoral need to understand our board of education is trying to do the best they can to educate every child in Kingsport. And I think they've done a pretty good job, even with the demographically challenged children. They have done a great job. But it is a challenge because I said before, we have 33% of our children with free and reduced lunch. So that does make a difference for us, the amount of instruction that they are allowed to have. And those kids probably need as much as or more. And so our system is doing a great job. So we will continue to supporting our school system as well.
Sarah's first.
Yeah.
Go back to you.
Thank you, candidates. At this time, we invite your closing statements. And I'm going to send the mic down to Tim.
Oh, okay.
We'll start
This is
with
our relay
Tim
thing.
Sanders, followed by Paul Montgomery, Collette George, and then Sara Buchanan.
As I've said before, I'm not running for myself. I'm running for you, your loved ones, and I cannot accomplish anything that's been said without your help and your support to get elected. I have been and am the only candidate willing to take on the ballot healthcare monopoly. And I'm going to take that fight on for you, not for me, for my family. But I am taking it on for you. Two of the current candidates up here are more interested in not losing their positions of prestige. They did not resign from their current seats to run for this. If they don't get elected, they're still on the board. I personally believe that if you want a different position, a different title, you withdraw from the one that you've already got. You make it all or nothing. Having career elected politicians has allowed the control from conservative Kingsport shifting over to liberal Johnson City. Before we lost our primary city position, we offered award-winning cardiac care. We had health care that was equal to anywhere in the nation. I'm asking you to vote Tim Sanders to make you vote.
Thank you for your attendance here today. Thank you at Kiwanis Club for inviting us. And thank you, candidates, for being part of this process. I did not know I had to resign in order to serve another 2 years, but I did retire 2 weeks ago so I can spend more time serving you as citizens of Kingsport. So give me a credit for giving up something. Like I said before, I do not have all the answers to all the questions, but I know how to collaborate. I know how to bring people together, bring to the table to get answers. I'm not afraid to have smart people around me because, in fact, I encourage, the smarter they are, the better answers we'll get. So I'm asking you to consider these to be the next mayor of Kingsport, and I want your vote. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having us. I'm actually very glad this is our last one. I enjoyed them with everybody, but it's always unique to be up here and answering questions. And my name's Collette George, and I'm asking for your vote for mayor. I've always had an open door policy. My phone number hopefully is out there and for lots of reasons. But if you have questions or concerns or want more information, because I know even though we try to talk fast up here, 1 minute when your questions are that long does not give us time to really explain a lot of the background and explain our answers. And, you know, that does give, if you've served before, it's sometimes hard because we know so much information on why things are done, and we don't have time to really explain it when things get brought up. So please feel free to call us anytime and get to know us. And early voting has started. We'll all be out there camping out in this lovely heat. Thank you guys so very much. And if you live in Hawkins County, you cannot vote early at the Civic Auditorium. We found that out today. If you have a question, let me know. Thank you.
I'd just like to thank you all for coming here, and thanks for having us. It's very important, I think, for everyone to be aware of what the candidates stand for, and it's even more important to vote. I mean, I would like for you to vote for me, but even if you don't vote for me, just go out and vote, because it's really important that your voice is heard. And I really care about Kingsport. I've lived all over the world, but I came back here to Kingsport, and my favorite place is Kingsport because I love this city, I love the people, and I love who we are. But I feel like things can be a little bit better. And I feel like I have the skills and background to bring positive change to Kingsport, to bring innovation, a new set of eyes to carry our city forward. Everything I do as mayor will be calculated, citizen informed, and completely transparent. So please, I know early voting's already started. Get out there, encourage your neighbors, encourage your family, your people at church. Get them out and get them to vote. So please get out and vote, and thank you again for your time.
And that instruction that we just heard is for everybody in this room in terms of getting out there and voting, and the fact that early voting is already started with the election being August 1st. Again, let us give a warm Kiwanis thank you to our guests.